Ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to the Hustle Podcast. Before we go any further, I do want to mention that this episode of the Hustle Podcast is brought to you by Pink Bandit Vapes. Now, I've said it before, and I'm going to say it again. If you've ever seen me on camera or if you know me in my personal life, you know that this thing is surgically attached to my hands at all times. Now, there's only one place that I go to get all of my vaping materials. I'm talking about physical vapes. I'm talking about coils, juices, disposables, zins, whatever you need for your alternative tobacco needs. Pink Bandit has got you covered with the best prices and the best selection in town, with 2 locations in Ganawage, one on the 207, one on the 138. Pink Bandit Vapes. Go through, tell them the Hustle Podcast sent you. Now, with that being said, ladies and gentlemen, let's get the show started. Tek Luciano is in the building. Steve is in the building, which is, it's nice to see Steve. I haven't had Steve on camera in quite a while. Of course,
Steve's
we have
on camera.
Our new co-host, Basics, in the building.
What it do,
And
what
we
it
have,
does.
we have a very special guest in the building today as well. We got Yosh, the founder, creator of the 4-Bar Challenge of N4L in the building. So welcome to the Hustle Podcast,
Appreciate
sir.
you guys. So glad to be here with you guys. And yeah, we're going to have a great time, great conversation. Brought you guys a little gift from Four Origins, the brewery that I work at. We got some beers. So you guys want to dig
Let's
in?
get
beers. Got some beers in the house.
I'm going there right after this.
get to
So
I like day drinking, by the way.
Iced tea de Montreal. You know what I'm saying? Iced tea.
Cheers, fellas. Shout out to day drinking, man.
You know what I'm
Shout
saying?
out to day drinking, man.
Hey, let's have a great interview.
I think Basics got the fruity one.
Makes sense.
But yeah, man, so with no further ado, we got a lot of things that we definitely want to get to. So of course we're going to get to the 4-Bar Challenge, but I think the most adequate way to kind of build up to that, if you will, would be to kind of introduce you as an artist first. I know you've been doing music for quite a while. We were talking off camera. I actually heard of you years back. Shout out to Prince Akeem, AK. You guys were making music together. I want to say this must have been 10, even maybe 15 years ago. That's where I first heard of you. So salute to still doing your thing. It's nice to see somebody from our era who's still active, and not only active, but actually promoting something on the business side of music, because I think that's lost on a lot of artists, which we will get to.
appreciate you.
So let's take a historical approach. How did you get started in music? First and foremost, why rap?
Oh my God. I think that for me, it was a form of expression that it was like a way to say what I wanted to say, but with a bit of that kind of competitiveness that I love from sports, you know. And team sports was like that was my whole childhood.
I think that's going to be a key point going
That's
forward
gonna
in
be
the
a key
interview.
point in this whole thing. But then I found music, and it was that same approach. I grew up on rappers, and I was just, you know, spitting their bars, and just I had an affinity for it. And certain things you just feel, you can't explain why, but it just was, you know. And so for years I was making music. And that led me into 4-Bar, which I can explain. You want to go through the whole thing to 4-Bar? We going the whole way?
Hey,
Okay.
natural. whatever we get to.
It sounds good. But yeah, so that's how it started. And, you know, I've been making music ever since. And it's just something that it's a part of me. It's like the vape.
Yeah.
I can't
It's surgically. All right, I like
I
it.
can't remove
I like
it.
it. I want to ask you this, because I think that how did you get started in music sometimes is a very general, vague question. So what I want to kind of focus on the moment where you realized that you actually had an affinity for rapping, because there's got to be a pivotal moment where it becomes, you know, it changes from being an interest of yours to where you try it and you realize, yo, I can do this.
Yeah.
What was that moment for you?
So I think I was finishing high school. I'd done some rap stuff with friends just for fun, but I'll never forget, it was a Crack a Bottle instrumental by Eminem. Like we all have our starting points, you know. And it's funny when you start, you look back and you're like, the shit you're saying, it's like you didn't live that. Like
The
talking about
irony
cars
that you
don't
now
have.
work at a bar, by the
Hey,
way.
bars.
Crack a bottle.
Wow.
It's all coming full circle.
You're very full circle today. You're very you're in alignment, as somebody I know would say.
But it started there, and I just when I did it, like from that point on, it was like I was writing every day, and it's just different when you feel like now this is it. This is something that I do, and I think it takes some time for you to not feel that kind of what do they call it, the imposter syndrome, you know, where you're like, but you know, you just do it because you love it. You're not even thinking about other things, and it's like you have to feel like you're good enough that you want to continue. because if you knew that you were like shit starting out, that you might be like, okay, well, fuck this, But so you have to think that it's going somewhere, but you have to care enough to keep wanting to improve yourself, or else it's just gonna be stagnant. It's gonna, it's not gonna be anything.
It'll get stagnant after a while.
Exactly. And the funny thing
100%.
is, and just a little backstory is that, so my family is actually in music, but on the classical side. So my mom's a pianist, and my brother is now the principal clarinetist in the. Yeah, pianist. Yeah.
I'm canceled for the rest of the show. I'm sorry, guys.
And your brother is?
He's the principal clarinetist in the Toronto Symphony Orchestra.
Oh, that's
wow.
fly.
Yeah, yes, sir. He'd actually he'd gotten the associate position in the New York Phil. Is it New York? Yeah, the New York
Philharmonic?
Yeah, Philharmonic.
Wow,
yeah.
that's crazy.
So, appreciate that. So it's funny that like there's the contrast of like classical would be like the if you were gonna think of the opposite ends of the spectrum, it'd be rap and classical music. And actually he made some beats and shit for me.
There are some parallels.
There's definitely some elements.
As far
You're
as
right.
like the spacing of time in classical music, like how
absolutely
important the sequencing of things being within their own pockets and how it all actually plays itself into one harmonious element actually is incredibly similar to hip hop.
Totally. I couldn't agree more. And we give each other tips. Like he's doing things with the clarinet that it's like, I'm like, yo, that's lyrical. Like they call it,
breath
it's
control,
like
especially when it comes to these kind of instruments, right? You need to have breath control and you need to have an understanding of how to express that breath.
Exactly. And like, let's say, picture you were spitting some kind of fast verse. Where are you going to put those breaths? Because you're doing this live, and how are you going to make that work? So yeah, so it's funny that there's that kind of backstory to it. But yeah, for me, it was just hip hop, and my other brother Mitch, who I'll be talking about more, who is my co-founder in 4Bar. But it was hip hop for us. And I also love rock music, and that's a big influence on my rap music. But yeah, there's something about the expression.
It's crazy that you said that your mother comes from the classical side and your brother as well.
Yeah, and my sister actually too.
How's the family dinner? Like everybody's on the classical side and you're there
that's a
spitting
good
16.
question.
Just there with a do-rag on.
Yeah, exactly. Like, what's up? That's an interesting question. I mean, I think there's a love and support for the different genres, and it kind of makes more of a blend. Like I've done some stuff on things that my brothers made, and sometimes I think one time it was like a classical kind of piece. So there's definitely fusion of musical styles, and that may have even helped with the 4Bar thing, because 4Bar is a fusion of music and sports. So I've always been thinking in terms of fusions. So I don't know how that would have had an effect.
I really think that's a really dope concept to bring the competitive nature kind of battle rap in a sense, but turn it into like a team sport and like put it in a game format, where I think that kind of breaks down walls too, because even though technically we're competing against each other, the fact that it's kind of in a game format, it kind of takes away the hostile element in a sense, like which is really dope.
That's so interesting.
So let me ask you a question, because we're getting into it.
Yeah, no, we're getting
What the hell is 4Bar?
Very good question. So 4Bar started as this. So it was a format that I said to myself, people don't have the attention span anymore. And for me, my big care is lyrics. It's puns, it's double entendres. It's bars. It's bars. It's bars. So it's like, and I had stopped for a year to make this social app with a friend. I went to Chicago, and we were pushing out to colleges out there. And to me, I was
When was this?
This was 2017.
Okay, word.
Yeah.
Okay, pre-COVID.
Pre-COVID is, 2016, 2017, I was doing the app. And I was like, I want to put my whole creative attention into this. But of course, I couldn't take the music out of me. So when I came back home and I was talking with my brother, and I'm like, I definitely want to start releasing music again, but maybe I'll just give people the best 4 bars, like the best 4 to 8. That's how what I originally said.
So originally it was a social app that you were creating?
No, so this is a different thing. I was creating a social app called Icebreak. That was something totally apart.
Okay, but that gave you some of the foundational strengths and understandings in order to migrate into your own. Okay,
totally.
Cool.
And it's funny because when you look back in your life, you see all these things that kind of came together to lead to something. You don't know how it's going to play into your story, but it does.
You never know when you're in the moment until you look back. Right?
Absolutely.
That's it. So that was like kind of like the last part, because in terms of making this, what started as an app called 4Bar, as just this application where, so basically just to go back to what I was saying. So it was like, if I could just spit 4 bars, and then it's like people loop it, they hear the bars, now it's like, okay, maybe they're really listening to the puns, they're getting those bars, and I'm not wasting my time making a whole song when they're not listening. You know what I mean? So from there, because I was in that app mindset, I said to myself, and me and Mitch, we were talking, and it was like, well, what if we made an app where people can, choose beats, write their 4 bars in app, and then make a video and upload it. Kind of like, at the time it was Vine. We weren't thinking this right away, but it's like, it's like the Vine for rap, and the purpose of it was really to emphasize bars, but while playing into what is inevitable. We can't change the fact that the attention span has reduced. It's a different world. So that was kind of the way to bring that all together.
So when did you originally launch the 4Bar app, and what was it, and how did you go from that to where it is now? How did imagine
such a
COVID and different things affected? And
that's what a great question. So 2017, we had the idea, like the conception of the idea, and the crazy thing is I'm into these kinds of signs, because I just see them so often. But when we looked at the date that we started it and the date where hip hop was, what they say, like that cool, the party at DJ Kool Herc's in his place, it was 44 years and 4 months after that day, and I get those 44 signs everywhere, like the 444s, and I got it on my arm, But so that was, to me, like, that was when we realized that later, it's like, oh shit, that's like a really cool sign, to keep going. But so started 2017. We started developing this app, had some programmers online. I was like staying up to like 3-5 a.m. talking with like Russian programmers, Indian programmers, just getting it built however you can. It's like, and the hustle, we got money on the table. It's not just about making money, but how can you save money and, make the most, the minimal viable product. How can you make something
bootstrap?
Make
the
most,
bootstrap
exactly,
for sure.
the most impact with the least there, So we ended up launching, I think in the summer of 2018, the app, and we started on Instagram, started posting some 4Bar videos, and then all of a sudden we were in New York, and we see like a jump in our downloads, and it had made it onto the front page of the US App Store for 5 apps that we love right now. It was called, and and that was like, it was a crazy moment for us.
Do you know how that happened, by the way?
We don't know.
No, it's like organically.
It was somewhat organic, like we were putting like a little bit, like a couple $100 into like promotion on Apple or whatever, but it wasn't enough it was still mostly like 90% organic, and it somehow
That's cool.
made its way to the front page, and that was great because it let us just see some of the mistakes that we had to correct. Because of that scale, you're like, okay, well, I see like what's working and what's not. Like, for example, we had like people would create their videos, but we didn't have like the social sharing yet. So it's like they would submit it to us, but now no one's seeing it, versus if we would have had it open at that point where it's like, just take your video and post it on socials, hashtag whatever the challenge is or whatever it would be for that week, So anyway, so that's how it started with the app. And then how did it become this team sport that we're now trying to build, like the NBA for rap?
That basically Tech was describing, right?
Exactly, which is that. So again, competitiveness is just deep inside me, right? So it was like, well, now we have people spitting 4 bars. That's great. But how can we now take this and just sharpen it? How can we make it more interesting? So we started putting one 4 bar against another. It was just like these quick micro.
It's the natural progression.
Battles, on Instagram. And it wasn't, again, these weren't disses. These were like 2 people wrote on 2 different.
It was just like, who's got the hottest 4 bar? Who thinks exactly.
Exactly. It's exactly it. So 2 different beats. And that was really what we wanted to test, because it was something you said before, and I think it's an important thing, and I think we can tie it back here. You were saying like it feels like competition is like battle-ish, but it's not. And we last season that we had, there was like a bunch of issues around the fact that like some people are dissing, not like crazy things, but some people aren't. And it's like, is it supposed to be a diss or not? Like they're on a song together, right? Because, and I'll get more into that. But I think it's important that it's not that it's a competition around. That's more like UFC, where you're like hitting each other. And then this is more like, it's like you're playing hockey, where it's like, it's the skill of the game. You're competing against each other, but it's not a direct combat sport where you're attacking each other. So that's exactly what it was. It was like the skill of one 4 bar against another. Whose was doper, who had more bars, whatever. And then
you wouldn't even connotate it to sparring.
No, I would say, no,
because in sparring, you're still kind of, you're taking those little, you know what I mean?
Yeah,
but you're not going full, you're not trying to actually,
you're not trying to hurt the other person.
You know what? I would say definitely when we had like the dissing inside, where it was like nothing personal or like, that can hurt. It's something that's like, about,
right.
Yeah, but it was like
sure.
Stuff that was more like, just like name flips and shit like that. Like I thought that was dope, but it led to some problems because where's the line? And then some people are crossing the line and all that. So that would be the sparring where it's like the distance that we allowed. It was like sparring. But the game itself, I think, really is meant to be where it's like this is a team sport and it's more like the NBA than the UFC. If you were to try to put it into your mind of what we're going for.
In terms of it being a team sport and everything,
Yeah.
Are you guys trying to be cohesive? Like, if you're coming with the 4
totally.
bars, he has to come with a good 4 bars that actually correlate.
That build
Yeah.
on top of.
Is it gonna be
Good
like
question, Steve. Yeah.
4, 4, 4, and then we got a fucking cohesive 16 or
So
something?
totally, and you brought me right back to the next part, which was that. So once we had the 4-bar against the 4-bar, is like, well, how do we keep going with this? And it led us down this innovation stack of like, well, what if now it's like you have a few players together, and if it's on the same beat, maybe it can kind of you can now put them together. You could string them all together, And so the first version of that was just like 4 guys from 4 separate teams playing in this like kind of like a free for all, and it's like a 1-on-1, 1-on-1, And that was like, it was like we were starting to introduce the team concept, but something felt wrong because there were still elements missing from team sport, which were like, where's the team chemistry? And eventually what it led into, which is the concept that is now, which is basically our games are full songs. So usually you have like, let's say a 16-bar verse, chorus, 16-bar verse. So here it was the 4 guys on one team because it's just 4 bars each, making 4 bars from a verse of 16, chorus, and then the other team gets the other verse. And so when it comes to that team chemistry, there is so much of it where you're writing your bars, and now the next guy, we like to call it a handoff, he's got to come off that first 4, let's say, spit his. There's usually a theme to the game, so that's also keeping cohesion between the 2 teams. And then, yeah, you're trying to make, that's one of the big elements that they're judging is like, which team had better chemistry. I don't know if we want to jump into the wedding game because there was something really cool that you guys did with
the writing.
Yeah, with the writing and how you did handoffs.
Absolutely. We can definitely get into it. I mean, if you want to like explain because I think it'd be cool for you to explain how you even brought 4 bars into your wedding because like he brought 4.
First of all, let's kind of set the
Yeah,
table
let's
with
set
that,
the
because
table,
that's
but we'll
kind of
come
like
back to
that's
that.
big, bro.
So we'll come back to that, but I feel like I cut you guys off. Maybe you want to add something to the last part. Let's say.
I'll add exactly. He was saying the wedding. That's the first view I ever had of 4-bar. Was you guys at the wedding? I think Merker was there as well.
Yes, sir.
All you guys were there. That's where I was seeing.
Shout out to Merker on all this hard work.
Yeah,
He
huge part.
Yeah, he went nuts.
He recorded both teams. He did the mixing. Like
shout
out to Merker.
Always shout out to Merker.
Come on, Merker the
Oh,
God,
yeah.
man. Come on, no.
Always shout out.
Love you. Love you, my brother.
100%.
I think it's pretty fascinating just to kind of bring it back to the team aspect of things, and I do have a follow-up question.
Yeah, awesome.
Because for me, I like to look at things from like a sociological perspective. So I mean, once you kind of like if you look at sociology, which is the study of people in groups, right, is that once you kind of, I think what makes it sort of less UFC and more easier on the people who are playing the game is the fact that you are in a team, because it kind of alleviates the pressure. It's not all on you, it's on the team. So if we lose as a team. If we win as a team. You know what I mean? I think that's, honestly, I think it's super fascinating. It's not something that I've really seen before in hip hop. You know what I mean? So I think that's really, really
things
fascinating.
bound to happen. Like those hockey fights, like the whole team get in on it. That might happen.
It may happen eventually.
That might be crazy at a game where it breaks out live, We should have thought of that at the wedding.
But what I wanted to ask you was like in terms of the format. So when the artists are participating in the game, like it's live, are they writing their 4 bars on the spot, or is it something that they're coming in pre-prepared with?
So that's a great question too. For us, it's not about like freestyling. We're trying to make the best songs and then the best music videos, which are the games, as possible. So, for our first seasons, it was all online. We were scouting thousands of players online just through different challenge hashtags to, then we were having like FaceTime calls. We had like 800 FaceTime calls with artists from like around the world, but mostly North America and mostly the States. And we were making teams where like these people that didn't know each other were feeling that same kind of brotherhood, sisterhood that you feel in sports, where it's like, my brother just got shot by the cops, whatever, like this is a true story. I can't let my team down. Like these guys make me, where it's powerful. And that to me was always like what sport was all about. It's like you got
community,
people that you would ride for, that you'd really, it's like going to war without like the dangers of war, but it's like all that feeling of like, we're a family now, We're bonded. Exactly.
Absolutely.
And like you're saying, community in the greater whole of that, where it's like even the teams you're playing against, to me it's like we won or we lost, we all won, because we did something cool where we had 8 players on a song, 8 artists and a hook. So it's like, that's got to be the main point where it's like we're all pushing towards something hopefully bigger than ourselves that can, bring in more people. So those are the wins, those are the real wins to me. But yeah, that feeling like you're there with your team and now doing it live, obviously you have a new element where it's like we're recording together, we're in person together, and
makes a difference.
that does something.
That's cool.
Yeah.
No, I'm curious. What's your team name? You guys have a team
Oh,
name?
we
What's going
were
on?
well. His concept for the wedding was
Yeah.
Habs versus Expos.
Yeah,
Oh, okay, that's why the Habs shirt. I saw
yeah,
that.
yeah,
Habs
exactly,
shirt and
exactly.
Expos
We were
shirt.
like, let's go with the,
Yeah.
two
I
most.
don't think we would have called ourselves Team Expos if we were like gonna choose our own personal name.
So that answers one
Interesting.
question. Do the other teams have like an actual name? What's going on with the team structure?
Yeah. So we had, in our early years, we had made a few teams. At first, we we had named them like districts in Montreal. We just thought it'd be like funny. Like you have all these like cool guys in the States and they're like Dollar Disarmo or like Pierre Fall,
That's hilarious.
Like a little
That was a
inside-
thing?
That was a thing for like a few weeks, and then we like,
That's
got, like,
hilarious.
Hey,
shirts
yo, it's
made.
Team Westmount in this.
You had some cool people
You
that
know
were
what I'm
like,
saying? Rapping straight street lyrics.
we had some cool people that were like, yo, Pierre Fall, you're like Dollar. Like you would like butcher the name, like Dollar, but what do you call it? We call it, we had like Baffin, which is like a street. He's like, we called it Boffin, It's like, it doesn't matter. It's all good.
Oh,
So-
Shalag.
Exactly.
Yeah, they might have trouble with the pronunciations on some of them. Maisonove?
Maybe I see the marketing potential with this. We want to be crazy jerseys, the bar crushers.
Yeah,
and
yeah,
stuff like
yo,
that.
for sure. And so like, from there it was like, well, nobody has teams in rap, so we can literally take any city we want.
And there is an avenue for merch with that too, by the way. Like if a team was to really catch on, there's a real avenue for monetization, which was a question I wanted to ask you later on. But
I would love, you want to answer that now? You want?
I mean, we could keep going where we're at, but like definitely one of my questions coming up was like, is this something, or is there a real path? I'm sure there is, obviously, because it's business at the end of the day. Is there a real path towards monetization for this league? Because this is something that honestly I find fascinating, and I do want to see this do well. Like,
I appreciate that, man. You know what? To us, we really see it as the sports model, where eventually, if we could do this the way we really see it being done, it's like you've got labels that are teams, you've got rap groups that are teams,
exactly.
and then
Bro,
you know,
imagine like Team Rockefeller back in the day versus
Right.
like
That'd
Rough
be
Riders or
crazy.
some shit. Like that would be crazy.
I
bro.
mean, that's really where we could. I love the grassroots, and I love on the other side that it can also work where you can have like the Toronto Owls against the the Carolina Dreamville, like the Dreamers or whatever, and you have their two teams playing on a song. Yeah.
Do we all remember the movie Basketball?
Yeah, of course.
Remember
Obviously.
Basketball?
Come on,
Joey
bro.
Diaz was in that. He stole a bunch of skates from the
Sick.
same.
That just with the team names,
Theaters of South Park.
the jerseys and everything.
for
That's
sure.
what I see 4Bar turning in.
I appreciate that.
Very
I mean,
very
we'll
wilding
see-
out too in a way.
Yeah, 100%.
You know what I mean?
Yeah,
Team
yeah,
Black,
yeah,
Team
yeah.
Red.
the one
Owls,
right, and the one I was
Steez,
like they've got more of like the comedic concept, and
Yeah,
that's why like for me
100%.
like the North Star has always been like I'm seeing the major leagues, I'm seeing the NBA, I'm seeing baseball, and like how they make national deals around jerseys. You have fanatics that are
Exactly.
make
bro.
the
That's
jerseys
what
for
I'm
all
saying.
the teams.
That's what I'm
They
saying.
don't, they're not doing that, and it's something that a league gives you the opportunity to do. Media deals where you got the NFL now with these deals with Fox and CBS and whatever it is. Imagine if you can now, the streaming platforms are really taking over. So that's more the aim, But it's like, and as a starting point, it's like the UFC had The Ultimate Fighter, which was like their reality show that I think really put them
That
into.
launched it,
it
really.
launched the league,
yeah,
right?
It did.
And so that's something also that we're really looking at. Like the wedding is going to be an episode that we're going to, as a pilot, that we're going to try to bring places and really get like a reality show around,
we need to have a Yoshi's Contender Series.
Hey, yo, she could.
For real. Yeah.
I'm down.
But I mean, because like I'm envisioning things like, say for example, Team Toronto, team captain is Tory Lanez or Drake versus Chicago, and the team captain is Lil Durk or Kanye, or you know what I mean? Like that
Oh,
shit would
we
sell
insane.
itself.
There's gonna be
And that's really, that's the NBA level of it.
Bad choices, but
That's hilarious.
you know what I mean?
that's sick. No, that's not a bad choice at all. Seriously. And that's, those are like, that's really, when we're thinking NBA, when we're talking about the Bradys and the, or the NBA, whoever the big players, it's like, that's who it is, the LeBrons and the whatever. And like I said, I love both angles of it. I love the grassroots where we are now, where we're building towards it. And because I think we've been building both visions at the same time, it makes sure that neither kind of deviates from the goals, which is to have minor league teams, to have major league teams, and to have all this be one ecosystem where it's all working, you know. And to go back to the team thing, it's like, so because no one has teams, we were able to then take the cities. We were like, we're gonna have an LA team. We had a Montreal team, that was our Canadian team. We had New York and then Detroit, you know, and you know, so and then our last season we actually had, so in the, we call it the Instagram, like that's been kind of like the coining.
Instaground?
The Instaground. It's like the underground.
It's like the Terror Dome, but
exactly. So it's like the Instagram. It's like the underground for Instagram, where a lot of our platforms came up. Like there's Straight 16, shout out to Straight 16, and there's some other platforms that we kind of grew with in a space, and you know, we were kind of all like different systems for artists on IG to come up to. And so we then put together last season was 4 teams. One of the teams was the New York Firehouse, which is Straight 16, and then we had Pendulum Ink, which is they had their team too, which is our first college team. You know,
shout out Mickey Fax and the whole crew, the whole team over at Pendulum doing big things.
Shout out to them, and so it was cool to have like a real college team, because we had done March Madness back in the day. We had like 16 teams, 64 players, but like we didn't actually have rappers from the schools. We just like used the names or whatever and got the concept off, you know. Which again, all that is also possible moving forward.
100%. Yeah, there's unlimited possibilities. Honestly.
My man. So that's now where it's leading to is really bringing this to Montreal and making real teams. It's like you really do have Cone St. Luke playing against, you know, the West Island or downtown or DG, you know. So that's really.
I think it's cool, and I think that a lot of the Montreal artists, which Bass has already done, I think Montreal artists should take this serious, because every episode that we've done for the last 4 years, we've had the same conversation at one point or another, which is that there's not enough infrastructure for the English scene in Montreal. Hey, here's your infrastructure. This is an opportunity to get seen. You know what I mean? And don't see money.
True.
Don't see money.
That is true.
What does Basics always say? Say yes, not no, right? You said it a lot more eloquently than that. I'll give you that much. But the gist of it was say yes to things instead of saying no.
I do tend to TED talk.
Yeah, a little bit.
The kind of things that I say.
But it's needed. You know what? I'm a very pessimistic person, so it's very needed in my life. So I appreciate you, babe.
I'm gonna say this right now.
Yeah.
If there's any rappers from Park X that want to get on the 4Bar series, I will sponsor the team.
Whoa!
I'll be Daddy Warbucks.
You heard it here first.
I'll make all the jerseys.
You heard it here
crazy.
first. You got an official Park X team.
That's crazy. You never know what's gonna happen. You can get teams going.
It's gonna be mad Indian rappers, bro.
We got some stuff to talk off camera about.
That's
obviously.
crazy.
You know what I'm
Yeah,
saying?
man.
That's dope.
So let me ask, because obviously it's a part of your personal life, not just your professional life, you know what I'm saying? We kind of alluded a little bit to the wedding and this kind of a situation. That's how I got introduced to Yosh. How did that idea come to you? How did that feeling come to you? And more importantly than that, how was that conversation with your wife?
With the wife?
Because at the wedding, by the way, guys, if you guys don't know, but me, I lovingly roasted.
Yosh. He gave it to me.
And the crowd was loving. It was a steez, because it was like, shout out to his wife for
allowing this.
No, what I said was, shout out to everybody make some noise for Christina. Correct?
Christina, yes, sir.
Christina, for the amount of patience she's clearly going to need to make this marriage work, because this is crazy that we're rapping at a wedding. And then I leaned over like this, and I was like, because on my wedding, there's not gonna be no rapping. but hey, it's on my wedding, you know.
They used their own type shit.
You know what I mean? But it's kind of like poking fun at the situation in a loving kind of way. But how was that conversation? And shout out to her, because obviously she is
right or
clearly, that's what I'm saying. Because bro, I don't for her to say yes
on her big day to let
that's
you.
Like,
you know
okay,
what I mean?
she sees the vision.
I agree.
So
I
you know what I'm saying?
I agree. She's
she's
in your corner, bro.
And that's where I got to start, which is that without her being so cool and so supportive, this doesn't happen anyway, you know. And her family, from Lebanon, and they're older school, maybe mentality or what they come from, but them too, so welcoming, so just cool with whatever craziness I'm up to, So.
Yeah, as a fact, it could have went the other way around. They could have said, "You married doctor."
Yeah, exactly. You married doctor, exactly.
I'm picturing that Chris D'Elia skit that you're always rapping and you're just getting on your wife's nerves.
No matter what, well, Eminem, the guy who does Eminem on IG,
up.
It's
I see you doing the dishes in the kitchen.
Low-key, Callie's Basics, he'll always be throwing in some bars,
Random, yeah.
But But long story short, for a while, I was always like, imagine if I did if I could do a game, like a live game at a wedding, and then the thought was more like at my wedding, But I didn't think that the first live game we ever did would end up being there, because this summer I was like, I would like to get a live game going. And we had done like a 4-bar cipher at Washington Square Park in New York.
Yeah.
We had
That's the
That's
mecca
fire.
of ciphers,
Yeah,
by the way.
yeah.
For those of you who don't know,
Under the
ciphers
bridge.
have been going
Was
on
it
at
part of
Washington
the-
Square State
Was it
forever.
part of the
man.
legendary ciphers, or was it different?
This was our own 4-bar cipher that
That's
we had done.
fly.
Yeah, yeah. And so we had some of our guys from online that came from different places, some from Florida, some from New York and stuff like that. And
That's
yeah,
dope.
we came together to do that. And, what was I saying that? Yeah, so we always, my plan was to go back and to now do this live game, and whether it be there or somewhere else. We were talking about Atlanta. We had like a gym that we were going to like bring people to, and like this basketball gym and whatever. And in the end, it was like, it's crazy how things manifest. You don't know how it's going to happen, but I'm at my uncle's wedding the month before my wedding, and having, little session outside, a little chilling, and start having this thought like, what if we, summer's over soon. I wanted to do this game. We're going to have all the equipment. We're investing in video production, in people coming there. They're going to be dressed up. We're going to have a venue like that I won't be able to afford otherwise. So it's like, what if we can kind of finesse something here, make something happen, and we have a month to do it. And usually when I'm like trying to work on something like this, like I wouldn't be talking about it publicly before. I'd be like, let me see if I can do it. And this one I went the opposite route. I started being like very publicly kind of like what I'm saying, like manifesting, like we're trying to do this. Can we do it? Can we get 8 artists? I didn't know any of the 8 artists. Well, I knew a few of them that were in this game, but for the most part, it was like free reign. How are we going to now get these artists? There was there's never been for me something that there were more moving parts for this to happen, because sound quality has to be good. You now need a mixer, a 12-channel mixer or whatever, an 8 to have like the amount of mics that we needed, which Basics also ripped me about at the wedding. He's like, oh, what did you think was going to happen with 8 mics? Because it like unplugged
There was
on one
a
of
lot
the
of like
one of the
there
verses.
was a lot of sound issues.
That was like feedback and shit.
Oh, more than that.
Yeah, well, that
mic
makes
cut
sense.
off.
Yeah.
So
There
I
was a
can't
whole
wait
bunch
for you
of
to
stuff.
see the music video though, which is going to be dropping tomorrow.
I'm
The
sure it's
power
gonna
of
be fly.
editing, my friend.
I'm sure it's gonna be fly as hell, man. And also, I think
Drink
the way that the way that it was done, as far as like the Habs going first and then us going second, I think even that was better for the song, the visual, and everything else, because even as he knows, like I shared with him before we went up, was like, hey, like, well, actually, to even go back before that, he was at Merker's studio when my team,
Yeah.
and both teams, I believe,
Both teams, yeah.
wrote, recorded, and did the whole entire song.
Mm-hmm.
So he was already privy to what was going on.
Okay, so pause. The song is pre-recorded.
Yeah, exactly. So the song was made, and this one started different than other ones for us. And I think that it was maybe the best format in terms of making something cohesive. It started with the beat. We made the beat together, and it was based on one of the wedding like classic songs, the Paco Bell Canon in D that we sampled. And then I actually made the hook right after that, so that the artist wouldn't only have a topic, but they would actually have like real insight into what were the lyrics, let's say, that accompany the topic. Because you could take things a million different ways.
And it
You
was
take vows
obviously
and-
about vows.
Yeah, exactly. So that was where it started, and then had the artists come together, record it. Also, just in terms of like performing it and practicing it, it was good to have it all together so they can do that. And because again, a game is a song, where let's say in battle rap, it's like it'll be like it's not gonna be a song. It'll be like this large performance, a cappella usually. These make songs, so it was like, well, if we record it beforehand, when we're all done with this, we're gonna have all the drops like regular music, but it's a game now, and now we're gonna have, on all
Well,
DSPs.
it's good for the performers as well, because there's no better way to memorize your lyrics than writing and then recording them. So right away it's in your head. You know what I mean? And then it does kind of alleviate, because when you're live, as you know, anything can happen, right? So at least if it's
Anything
recorded,
usually
you
does.
kind of have a fallback. Exactly.
You
So
know what
that's
I mean?
okay. That's interesting. That's interesting.
Exactly. And that's part of the fun of live sport. We were saying, should it be something that it's like should it be something that's a pre-recorded thing? And it's like, no, this part of the fun is that people can screw up. Like you go to a basketball game, like, yeah, he made 30 shots in warm-up, but what happened in the game? That's what people want to see. And so that's part of that live spontaneous element that our game needed to add, because of course, like you'll have like, let's say you're watching a hockey game, someone scores at the end and like everyone goes crazy. We're like, how do we do that in our game? Because it's a song that we're going to go through. People will react to bars maybe, but like, where's that exciting moments. So it was like, well, let's say you're getting the judgments, and let's say it's like online live, or you have like the vote count going up, like how people watch an election. Like we were I was starting to compare it to that it's like people are there like
That's
sitting
interesting.
for 3 hours watching as like, oh shit, now like New York just like put it over the edge for this guy, you know? So that's definitely one of the exciting elements where you're going to have that kind of in the last seconds, this team won. We have overtime, let's say if
Right, if
both
it's a tie,
teams-
exactly.
Yeah, like a little
Exactly.
shootout where it's like choose one 4-bar from your verse against a 4-bar from the other teams, and like, you know, shootout
Okay,
style.
nice.
But then this was another thing where it's like, oh shit, like they might, and then he drops the ball, or he, you know, messes up on the lyric, and it's, you know, it just adds to that element.
So would be like kind of what's the judging criteria? So is it you have a panel of judges? Is it decided live by the fans? And what's the basis of who wins and loses?
That's a great question, and it's something that's evolved over time. What we were doing usually was 33% would go to the fans, and then we had like 2 different judging panels making up the other 66%. And now
This was the online.
Yeah, this was online, and then it became more still 33% for the fans, and then the judges got the rest. Reason being is that we never wanted it to become a popularity contest.
Exactly.
Where it's like, okay, well, if this team plays this team, they've got 1 million more followers, so
Right,
they're gonna win the game.
More than often than not, that's how most online contests go, especially when it's like
100%.
the rounds where it's just like, well, it's about getting as many likes, and it's like,
Well,
I
yeah,
have
bro.
3,000 followers,
saying?
and the other 3 guys
Not
have
only that,
35,000 followers.
basics just barred up, but you know, you see the girl on the other team though, like I'm voting for the, you know what I mean? So it's good that it's not a popularity contest, bro. Like that's smart.
100%. And for me, like, that is such an important thing. And one of the things that kind of bothered me about music coming from sports, which is like, sports is all about the skill. You can dye your hair rainbow color.
It's
I
a
will tell you
meritocracy.
It's
the
not gonna
one
change the
thing
game.
that I will agree with you on that is
You don't agree with the rest?
no, I'm not, you're right. No, but I think sports may be the closest thing we have in society to an actual meritocracy.
That's a bar.
You know what I'm saying? Like it may be the closest thing we
It's
actually
the closest
have.
thing.
If I understand
a
what you're saying with
meritocracy.
meritocracy, because you're saying like like just having like a
Just
fair.
like, bro, it's the scoreboard, dog.
Yeah,
Who-
yeah.
Whoever did better wins, essentially.
That's what
Like,
it is,
it's-
bro.
there's
And
no-
that'll never
It's not
change.
about
It'll
what
always
you
be that
look
skill.
like,
Exactly.
this, that, the other. It's, I mean,
but
obviously,
of course,
it is like, you know, I'm 6 foot tall.
Yeah.
I'm not 6'8". But
right.
if all other things that are uncontrollable are, you know what I mean? But as far as like we're
Well
in the
said.
game together, who's scoring more? Who did more in the court? That's it.
And you can have a 4-on-4 guys against girls, and it's not at all going to be, you know, in other sports, obviously there's a physical component. You can
Exactly.
So here it's like it's
but
about
here it's even
it's of the
more.
minds.
It's even more American because
Wow.
there is no element that is keeping people from a skill level wise.
There's no handicaps.
Exactly.
Nah,
There's
yeah.
no physical like
Yeah.
privilege where it's
Yeah.
just like, well, he's stronger than me.
Right.
Of course, he punches harder.
Exactly.
You know what I
It's
mean?
just
Where
like,
it's just like, no, he punches harder because he wrote better bars.
exactly. He spent more time, and he's
Mm,
more clever, and he's
fascinating.
And it's only 4, so it's like you can muster up a 4 and bring it together and make it make sense. So I love what you guys are saying, and that's really it. It's like I don't want it. Of course, there's an element in music where it's like there's gonna be some style and image, and style should be considered like
I agree.
more like a style with how you that energy. But it shouldn't be that it's like, well, we won because we've got 1 million fans that we paid for online, and now we beat you. So that's it's so crucial. And when you're making a sport, like I remember watching a football game where like I didn't agree with how it ended because they couldn't challenge it for whatever reason. They didn't allow that, like very traditional rules. It was like a Saints game back in the day. Shout out to the Saints. And I was like,
I know exactly what you're talking about.
You know the play?
They didn't call DPI Saints Rams in the
right,
playoff
to go
game.
to the Super Bowl.
I know exactly what you're
And
talking
I'm
about.
like, it almost makes me like feel different about the sport because something feels like we got cheated. Like it was not
Predetermined
fair.
almost. Like yeah.
So deep,
But,
bro.
like,
And it was
when
a
something feels unfair,
blatant
Yeah, well that's what I
pass
mean.
interference on 3rd down.
Yeah.
I remember. I know exactly. I'm a huge football
Yeah,
fan, bro.
amazing.
Giant.
I love that you-
Eagles all day, by the way.
Yeah,
Fly Eagles.
go
fly.
Birds, right?
You already know.
I saw it on that croc that you had.
Too
Like, you
many
posted.
people. Too
But,
many
uh,
parlays, bro. Too many parlays. They have to make sure they go down.
Wow, there is vested interest in that. I mean, 100%. You know.
But it's like that. I don't care who wins and loses, but I care that there's fairness in the game. And so that's something that's so crucial. And it's a work in progress. You're always, we're 7 years into this concept of 4-bar from app to the league. And you're always going to be thinking of things like, oh, that's actually better. And some people, they'll get mad at you because, and we've obviously learned now we've learned our lesson not to change rules like as the season's going, but we're just, the intention is just to continuously make it better.
100%. You're learning as you go. And that's why I'm glad that you said, like, I'm 7 years into this concept.
Yeah.
I think a lot of people don't understand the reality of like actually putting that level of time, effort, and like determination, and also being humble enough to acknowledge the reality that like, yo, we got a lot of things to get better at. We've got holes in our game that we're going to do this, that, and that, the other to
appreciate you
to get better. And also, if I can say this, I was just judging a battle on the radio on Monday.
Wow.
And one of the two people who didn't go through to the finals was miffed about certain things, whatever the case may be. Shout out my brother, because it's love. But like, one thing I was saying is, as a competitor, as somebody who's been to world finals, who's done all these different things with music and rap, the thing that I realize is, though judging, like, you may be judging from a certain criteria. You were asking about criteria.
Oh yeah, we're gonna come back to that.
But the reality is even if a criteria is on a piece of paper, the person interpretation of what that actually means is subjective, and that is a reality that you have to be humble to as a competitor, because it might say flow but if this means this to me and I'm judging it means that to you, we're not going to come to the same conclusion.
It is subjective in the sense that also, if you look at just from a performance standpoint, like for example, if it's me against you, you may have had technically on paper the better bars, but for whatever reason my performance
just came out that way
more.
Just like he says in sports,
So
when it comes to like, well, you might be better, but it's like in the game that day.
Yeah,
he
moved me more.
Stepped up.
Right. And this is a challenge of a game that's based in the subjective sport art form, where, so what we did to kind of like get around this was that the way the judging system works is that they are choosing, they're obviously, the judges are aware of all the different kind of components, delivery, flow, bars, and everything else, but we don't put any more like a rate out of bars out of 10, delivery out of 10, and then add them up, because then you might on paper have given somebody a higher score than someone else, but the feeling that you got from one team might be higher, and that's what matters more to us.
Okay, so you know what? I hate to interrupt you, but
please.
I will say, I think that if I were to, knowing that, not just as a competitor that I've done the 4Bar Series wedding, but other competitions, and also as a judge, I think perhaps it's important to look into that more, because I've realized judging end of the weeks and going to world finals and having conversations with judges and with people who are in the culture, and realizing that sometimes it's like, oh, I might have felt like that, but I forgot looking back, like, no, the numbers say that I judged this person more. So maybe I felt like, God damn, he killed it, and he did, and I wrote it like that. But then it's like, oh, but, and it's happened before where I've seen competitions where it's like 2-3 rounds in, we're like, oh, I think this person's killing it. But then at the end of the competition, it was the person that had more consistent scorecard.
And so to me,
you know what I mean? So it's like, how do you balance that?
Right, because I think that there are intangibles that should also be considered, and those can't necessarily be written out in a score, but that they should be considered. So our way around that is just saying, you're going to give your score, you're going to consider everything, and then you're going to give your reason, so that nobody can, can fault you for that reason.
Maybe there's a way to try to label what the intangibles
you should maybe even just have a section called intangibles and say, elaborate.
You know what I mean? What I'm saying, like, what is the way to, I've been wanting to build with you. We'll do it off camera, because I have a lot of ideas and things to share with you. And I think that would be cool, because there is something to emceeing, and there is something to artistry and performance that is feeling, and that you can't necessarily express what it is. It's just this je ne sais quoi thing. That's just like, that's what makes stars, right? That's what makes a great comedian. That's what makes, it's that thing that you just feel.
Yeah.
Speaking of stars. Does the 4Bar series have anybody that's like the top spitter? Who's the guy that everybody wants to watch?
Oh, cool.
Who's there? You know what I mean?
So
that's a good question.
We have like so every game there was like a bar of the game or an MVP that we'd give out to.
Nice.
And we had a leaderboard based on those MVPs. So, because again, just fixing an old problem, which is like, if me as like commissioner, but I'm trying to also be involved in the games, I don't want to be choosing artists. Exactly, there's a conflict for sure. But so you have judges that have made their scores, and then we just go by that. that's definitely been used. And at first, when I heard your question, I was wondering if you're asking like if people have then got like we had a couple people that have had careers not because of 4Bar, but that are now like this guy Anis and this other guy like Akeem Ali that like were in 4Bar in season 1.
Get the fuck out of here.
Yeah.
Akeem Ali was in fucking 4 Bars.
He
Oh, yo,
might be
that's
the
crazy. I don't know if
nastiest
you guys
spitter
know who that is.
I've ever heard.
Yo,
Yeah.
Akeem Ali
Yeah, he's the
is
nastiest.
crazy.
Did you know his
bro.
Hoodie Keem series when he was doing like Hoodie Keem back
when
in the
he
day?
was in the car?
Yeah.
I seen some of those
Bro.
freestyles, bro. This guy, when I tell you, bro, this I'm like, like you see my reaction, bro. You know, you know,
I know.
me.
I know.
You
it
know, I
means a
don't
lot
react
coming
like
from
this
you. Yeah,
to
Jono,
just
Jono.
randomness, bro.
Jono.
This guy is nice. When I tell you his flow is water, bro.
Oh, water.
Water, dog.
And that is just like an intangible that I don't even know. I couldn't even. I learned from him, but it's hard to like.
Nah,
there's
he's
some things
got
that he does that are just-
God-given natural
Yeah,
greatness.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
Yeah. Facts.
So yeah,
Akeem Ali.
he was there with
Yeah,
and it's
he's
funny.
very
though-
smooth. He dresses real smooth, real pimpish. He be doing videos. He's not even looking at the camera. He's reading
Oh,
through
yeah.
a magazine and
Casanova
he's just spin his
shit.
entire verse. And the punchlines, like it's so crazy. Anyways, we're not gonna get into an Akeem Ali
but
promotional run.
no,
or
I'll
the
check
4
him- I'll
bars.
check
You
him
know,
out, yeah,
he's dope
100%.
though. But it's cool to see
Respect.
that
I
he
appreciate
was
that,
up
man.
in that
Yeah,
in that
again,
stage. You know what I mean?
grassroots where
And the more you build, the more that can happen. You know what I mean? Like to bullet the end of the week, Justina Valentine. Like there's a bunch of people.
100%.
Immortal
100%.
Technique. So many people have been through the end of the week.
absolutely, and actually, Technique was it's following our page, and we were when we were kind of like meeting with those kinds of people or trying to get our concept out. We had partnered with Fred the Godson.
I was about to
as our
say,
first
you guys have had a lot of
4-bar
cosigns
partner.
from rappers in the industry,
which-
namely
which-
Fred the Godson.
which
Rest
was
in peace.
Yeah, and that was really
Federico, man.
and it was man, it's so sad what happened to him, of
It
course.
is
and
sad, bro.
and I remember he FaceTimed me like before it happened, and he's like, "Yo, we're gonna go crazy. Like I got a team that I can put together. All these like battle rappers he's gonna bring together to make a team." Like so, and you know he brought with him Joel Ortiz and Arsonist from the Heat Makers, and then their manager. And that led to other opportunities where Tech N9ne sent us a 4Bar, and you know, but you know, it's cool. You look back and you say it's amazing. I think when you're younger, you think once that happens, you made it, you blew up. You know,
100%. Yeah,
just for the
100%. But it
listeners,
just
it's like-
keeps building, and I think the ease of what 4 Bars, what I like about it,
Mhm.
you know, is that it is really just drop me a 4 bar. Like it's so old school in a
Mm.
way, as far as like back in the days when you're in a cipher, you're whatever, and
Yeah.
even if somebody didn't even want to jump in fully, it's just like, yo, just drop 4 bars, bro. I know
Yeah.
you got 4 bars for
Exactly.
man. You know
I
what
love
I
that.
mean? Like
and, and I like to say it's like it's the easiest thing to do, but then to do it well, because now you've got to condense. You've
Transcend.
got,
It's
you've got no
hard.
room for filler.
You
You
know
know,
what-
it's
you know
all
what it made
bars.
me
you have
think
very
of-
limited real estate.
Exactly.
It made me think
incredibly
of, you remember
specific.
Twitter when it first came out and it was the 140
40
characters and everybody was having so much trouble condensing their thoughts into 140 characters.
status.
You know what I'm saying? Into
Putting
100
your
like-
MSN status.
Yo,
and trying
right?
to make
but it
succinct.
forces you to sharpen your pen, bro. You can't be long-winded. You got to pack the bars in. Pause.
100%.
Because those constraints will lead
100%.
to now you being creative about how you're saying something to be more impactful, to be more to the point, and especially in a world where there's so much noise and there's so much going on.
100%.
You know? Yeah.
Yeah, man.
Wow.
There's a lot of positivity going on with the 4 bar and everything.
Appreciate
Has
you.
there ever been like one guy that comes on the show and he just says some shit like, "Yo, you're canceled. You can't come back on the show."
Oh man, I mean, last season was he wants the dirt, eh? Last season was tough because 2 of our 4 teams.
It's a
before
good question.
It is
Because
a good-
I have a follow-up based
Oh,
on that. So
amazing,
yeah,
amazing.
go ahead.
Look, it's like you're dealing with artists. It's like as hard as it is to deal with people in general. Dealing with artists is probably like the hardest group of people to deal with.
100% egos.
You know, there's a lot of so you know, and so it requires obviously the people that we attract are people who are athletically mindseted, if that's if we could, you know. But definitely we had 2 teams that last season for different reasons quit before the end of the season. One of them was actually our platform 4Bar was in the Instagram league, and that team dropped. It's like, are you serious? Like the team that like
Yeah, you're like a rapper.
yeah.
You're carrying the name and you guys drop out.
Well, because funny enough, I was playing on the New York Firehouse. I was playing on someone else's platform just so that there was like it felt fair and shit. But of course, it still led to issues. But long story short, 2 teams dropped, and we had to then figure out how to, you can't stop. You just have to keep like once the engine is running.
They dropped out because they felt it was unfair, or that there was a diss that happened.
There was.
So I feel like you're more asking about a diss, right?
So you're saying diss. It's funny you say that because
me, I'm curious about what this is about, because I feel like it's not about a diss.
one of them was like related, because one of them was actually when we played against the 4Bar team. Some of my bars, again, we were allowed like light disses, and I was saying shit like, you know, I'm coming back and I'm killing my children. You know, like it was just some shit that I was saying because like this is like, you know, a platform that I.
So basically, you were sunning them.
I was, you know, I was.
You were trying to sun them verbally.
You came back on some Chris Benoit shit, bro.
Right.
Wow.
And they were like, hey.
But it's all within the love of the game. You know,
Yeah,
I saw like as part of the game. Whatever, you know,
Kendrick on
whatever
control.
happened.
Yeah, I got love for all of y'all, but
I'm trying to kill y'all.
And I never had an issue with that. I love that because what he was trying to do was not how some artists took that, you know? And so regardless, so that was one of them. And another one was just like a more of a technicality thing that they thought was like, you know, again, because I'm commissioner and I was also playing, of course, my intention was always like 1000% pure. But like, so I think they were looking for a reason anyway, because it was maybe not aligning fully with their brand, because it's tough. You're coming into a space where you're getting even the nastiest rappers, but you're getting judged, and teams are sometimes beating you. And that doesn't always, that's like, say, if I were to say like one of the tough things, let's say trying to approach labels, will be that they have to understand that their reputation is on the line. They show that they were cool with it for the diss, like Drake put his reputation on the line, Kendrick put it on the line, but that's
a great example.
And sorry, I'll just add one thing. Actually, now that happened, it's a good selling point to tell them, look, you did that and you saw that it got a ton of attention, charts and money, but now let's do it in a safer way where it's protect your image more than that.
Well,
where
this
it's
is,
like no
this is
dissing.
I know you have a follow-up
Yeah,
question.
no, go.
Like this is there's a really cool parallel here between fighting, between boxing specifically, and this, because if you look at boxing, like Canelo just fought Crawford, which he didn't have to do, by the way.
Insane fight, by the way.
Look at what
Insane
most
fight.
boxers do is they pad their records, which means is that they pick and choose who they're gonna fight. Why? Because as a boxer, as a rapper, you are a brand. You're a brand, right? So at the end of the day, if I'm on a 10-fight winning streak, I'm not gonna fight the most dangerous contender in the division, because there's a good chance that I'm gonna lose that fight, and that's gonna affect my reputation as a fighter, my undefeated streak, my
your
this and
bag.
that. So
It's gonna affect your bag.
As a
Let's
rapper
be
now,
honest.
if I'm signed to a label and I'm known as the next Kendrick, the next J. Cole, the next lyrical guy, and I come on your platform and I lose, the labels are looking at this as like, you just made my artist look weak.
Right.
Right?
Yeah.
I think there's a reason
100%.
why
Yep.
I think there's a reason why most industry rappers don't go into mainstream battle rap. You're
There's
not gonna
only
see
one
Right,
reason.
you know
right.
what I
This
mean?
is
It's
it. They
because you don't want to go get
They can't
smoked.
afford the loss. They can't afford the loss.
Which is
They can afford the loss. They can't afford to get bodied.
right, which is why which is a cool thing.
You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
There's a difference between the two. Because if
You're
a
so
Lloyd
right.
Banks or some of these guys that have
Went
been
against
rumored
Arsenal,
to go
that's
into
a
an
wrap.
in the URL, and they do good. They do their thing. They still lose, whatever. It's not going to be seen the same way as if you go up there on a
Idiots.
URL against a twerk or against somebody and you get bodied.
Joe Budden versus Hollow. He retired.
But look,
Wow.
this is 4Bar.
I mean, you know
We
what I
have-
mean?
we have
Most
this-
industry rappers don't do well in battle rap. Mickey Fax has done well. Cassidy didn't do that good as first going well.
This is
Really?
it's
Hitman,
4Bar.
he
It's
did
a,
really
it's a
good.
structured song, so I think it's different, the format.
Exactly.
It's not
I like that.
cannabis opening up the rhyme book mid fucking.
Yeah, no, good
Right,
point.
and that's what I was gonna say was that there are definitely softeners where it's like, because you're with a team, because
It's not all on you.
yeah, and which that definitely softens it, which I like about that. And the fact that, yeah, like you're saying, to get bodied is something different. You come to a lyrical showdown that's like a 20-minute thing, and it's just like he gets you on some kind of angle that just like ruins your life. But here, it's like, what I love is that most games are never going to be a blowout. Like, even when we look at the Expo Habs game, I think we could make many cases that the Expos won. I think we can make cases that the Habs won, you know? And so I think that's cool when it's like that.
Stand
It's
by
so
my
compact.
team.
Yeah, you stand by
Expos
his
got
team.
robbed blatantly. Check the footage. No, just playing. No,
So-
but I agree. I agree. That definitely makes a difference between that and the battle rap. You know what I mean? It definitely transitions like into a more, not to say safer space, shall we say? But
No, we should say safer space.
it
No, it
makes
does.
me wonder about
Yeah.
the diss thing that you were asking about, because when it comes to like things like end of the week, it's an MC competition.
Right.
It's not a Well, no, there's parts of it that are like you write certain things prior,
But it's
etc.
based on
But
your
what it
merit
is
as an
it's
MC.
like you're battling against your own self.
Right.
You're battling against the judges. You're battling against the round that you're in, the written round on beat, the acapella,
Yeah.
freestyle with the objects, the judging of that, whatever. And like outright insulting other rappers in end of the week competitions is frowned upon. In fact, when it's been done in certain like world finals, certain things, like people have lost points.
Wow,
It's not about it's not battle rap.
You're flexing your ability.
Unsportsmanlike conduct.
Unsportsmanlike conduct. You throw the flag on the play type thing. And so I'm wondering what is not the policy of 4Bar when it comes to that, but what is something that if you could say like what is our stance on that when it comes to what we want to put to the world? Because it could turn into some real nasty shit real quick. Like a 4Bar thing could go left real quick.
Trust me. And especially if you're doing it live, you don't want it to get out of hand. And I think that, so again, last season's, let's say it was like this kind of light, you can name flip, you could do some skilled bar things around names, but don't, like nothing personal, nothing against people's families. Like there shouldn't be any of that stuff. But even that led to issues. So what we changed when we did the wedding game was that there was no longer any dissing at all. And I think that actually...
Well, also, I mean, we
wedding.
were doing a wedding
Yeah.
vows thing. You know what I mean? Like,
but even still, it's like,
hey, yo, I hope that your wedding cake tastes like shit.
Like
you
let's
just diss the wedding. You don't even diss the rappers. You diss the wedding. But
DJ sucks.
Oh man, but it like, so I think that was an important change, that it's like, you know what, let's get rid of the ambiguity. The main purpose is that we're making these like hit songs in the form of team sport. And so that, and that's good. You go through these things so that it pushes you and it shows you issues that could come up from it. You might think, you could think about it 100 hours and you'll never know what it's like when you're actually doing it and how artists react.
That's one of my favorite quotes, to be honest, which is from Yogi Berra, famous New York Yankee, who said, in theory, there's no difference between theory and practice. In practice, there is.
He was one of the original bar spitters.
He was Yogi Berra has
Yogi
quotes,
Berra.
bro. Big bar quotes.
Yes, he
bro.
does. Yeah.
And that's really what it is, 100%. Just like when you could practice for your show and you could go to do your set, you can go up in there and you
1000%.
DJ rewind the tone.
And which is, and again, it's important when we look at these big brands that have deals with Nike and when we're trying to, eventually make those kinds of deals that the NFL has, the NBA has, it's like there has to be a certain decorum. And I think, team sport definitely cleans it up and structures it. But like, it's much better to be able to tell them, like, look, you can guarantee that if you guys get into this now and you guys agree, Kendrick can't call you a pedophile. Like that's important to know.
Not only that, but from a marketing standpoint, if you wanted to bring this to something like a Hulu, maybe eventually a Netflix, right? Like you do have to have some sort of set of standards where we can sort of promote this as clean entertainment, right?
Correct.
100%.
PG-13 at the
very,
most.
very pivotal. Very
PG-13 at the
Very
most,
pivotal.
especially the higher brand, like the higher you want to go or the bigger the vision, whether you want to look at it as unfortunate or not, you have to have some semblance of clean cutness and some
Well,
semblance.
look, the UFC has an athletic commission for a reason, right? There's standards.
Even
in place.
Wild 'N Out. Wild 'N Out is
Yeah.
on a TV show, which is on a TV network, which is part of a bigger thing, and they answer to certain things. Like Wild 'N Out
Sponsors
answers to
to-
Viacom.
Yeah,
Like,
Wow.
exactly.
Is that
like
crazy?
Nick Cannon, there's certain things they can't say on Wild 'N Out.
Well, yeah, because
regardless of whatever
because
they're gonna do.
The sponsors will not, pay the advertising money if it doesn't suit.
So I think that's the venue
very
for you
important, yeah.
guys. Like, if I could say, would be to like towards what battle rap did in the COVID era, getting with like what URL did with caffeine, and what KOTD did with Twitch, and like these kinds of things would be the avenue for you, especially when a few months ago, Jordan brand did a commercial and marketing with Loaded Lux and Murder Mook.
I mean,
And they were doing a whole rap in a boardroom of fucking, it's crazy.
Oh, the world's ready for that.
Hip hop
like,
is the
hip-hop-
biggest selling thing.
it
in
is
the
a
world.
marketing
Yes.
machine. It's
That's the thing.
they set the
because
trends.
They set the trends, and it's like, what's cool is that let's say it was hockey, you can't play, or the basketball, you can't have the Big Mac be the ball, but here you can have the topic be like, just do
McDonald's,
it, and it's like, and it's
just
just
do
about
it.
your
It
lyrical
can
prowess around
literally
that
be
topic.
exactly.
So that's where you can really make some big branding deals where it's like, it's not just that you're going to be on the wall, but you're going to be like the content
Do a
of the
commercial.
song in this game.
Exactly.
And then it spawns a challenge, which is like, now you have a Nike challenge, everyone's just playing their 4 bars on their phone and like posting it and like trying to try out or
That's
whatever.
So that actually
where I
leads me
think
into
My
would
man.
be.
into my next question as we wind down. I think it's very important to ask you so that I can kind of set the table for this. So if people want to be a part of this, if they want to be a contestant in the game, how do people apply? What is the process like to get selected? Who do they contact? Where do they go?
So in our first now live season, which we're looking to, get ready and start pushing out there in Montreal, I'm looking to do live tryouts, I think it's going to be cool to get, and we have our N4L.live Instagram page, my Yosh music with a K page that you guys can hit me up on and just, start to get, introduced to everything.
N4L.
N4L.live, exactly, National 4-Bar League. So, and then that's what I think would be really cool. Just again, bringing people together and doing this as live as we can. Again, the reasons why I like the online, especially in COVID, where it's like, you can't be in person. Now it's like, there's a feeling when you guys are at the studio together. There's a feeling when you're on stage together in your jerseys that cannot be replicated otherwise. Even though we could do the game, but like to do it like this, it's something that excites me. And I was just going to add about the wedding game. There were some extra blessings that came from it where it's like you were saying, because it has to stay clean. This is a wedding, so nobody swore, and I think that was obviously purposeful because they're like, well, we're going to a wedding, so it did all these things to really use this as an example. It's like a song that could be very mainstream. It's called Vows, and it's love to your person. Like everyone can relate to that, but yet we still had people barring out, and basics ending with an I do, or like he had me on stage.
Yeah,
Just
my whole interpretation of the vows thing was like the 60, what you said earlier, which is like, how do we make this a verse? It's not 4 bars, it's a verse.
Yeah,
It's
they're
a
not
16. We're
independent
doing a
of each
16,
other.
to make
like we're
one
writing a
cohesive-
16 together as
Exactly.
one person.
Exactly.
And what we're interpreting is y'all's characters. So Merker was kind of like the introduction into what vows mean generally. And then Trey was the shield of the family, but being very vulnerable emotionally, because as a man, that doesn't happen in society. And then Nika the tomboy was the fierce lioness woman, but who also provides the emotional support and stability and And then I was the person proposing and saying to the person, like, I want to marry you.
If you can't tell,
Basics
Basics had a lot to do with the vision and played like a coaching role too,
I mean, that's what I do in my
Coach base.
in my life with
facts.
in
Facts.
Amazing. Yeah, with
working
the
and
students,
stuff,
right?
And I think it was really cool to like, I think that's one thing that's cool about the 4 bars thing is that there's an openness to that. And I think that provides a better look into how the industry works. As far as like when artists want to go into working with other artists, when artists want to go into other studios and write with people and build songs with people and get into maybe sync or this or that, you have to learn to be humble enough to like take other people's ideas, take other people's thoughts, take other people's this and that, incorporate it into what you're doing, or even be open to just rapping someone else's bars completely or whatever, because at the end of the day, if you want to be if you think Beyonce's writing all her music, I got news for you. And by the way, if you think the actor that you like wrote the script in the movie, no, that's not how it works. You know what I mean? Like, so I think it's important to have that kind of mindset in it. I think 4 bars is really dope for that.
Yeah, I think it's a super fascinating concept, bro. I'm super happy that you came. I'm happy we made, it was supposed to be last week, bro, and I apologize.
Not at all, bro.
I'm
Not at
still
all.
sick, but we got it done. I'm happy.
I'm
you
so
came
glad we
through.
did.
I really do think this is a fascinating concept. I think that there's a huge future for this league and for this concept, and we'll definitely have you back on 100%.
I love that.
Again, if people want to get in contact with him, if you want to audition, if you want to be a part of this, N4L.live on Instagram, Yoshi Music with a K on Instagram. Get familiar, because I'm telling you, specifically from our artist community here in Montreal, on the English side, on the French side, maybe eventually too.
Definitely.
You guys are always talking
side.
about, we're always talking about as a community that there's no infrastructure, there's no opportunities. Here's a fucking opportunity. So get in touch with the guy.
Shit, I think we might have the tryouts over here, bro.
We might be able to do that.
Very fly.
We might be
That
able
would
to do
very
that.
Fly, man.
That would be. Hey,
Gem?
you know I'm open.
Drop
I'm
a
open
gem of the
to
day?
anything.
That's what I'd like to. And that's what.
It's been
You
a
know,
while.
this
a good idea.
This has been a little while that the Hustle podcast I've seen him do this, so I'll be the one to reintroduce the idea.
Yeah, do it.
But Hustle podcast, they always want to ask a guest if they could drop
it.
one gem
Ooh.
on everybody's head top, if you could be out here and you could leave the people that are gonna hear this and see you with one thing, one feeling,
He's
one
got the
expression,
gem.
I
one
know
thought. You know what I'm
Oh
saying?
my God.
I was waiting. That's
Good
why.
man.
That's what.
Good
Shout out to
man.
me for the long segue for him to get
shout
the
out.
gem because I knew what he
That's
was doing.
professional.
I knew what he was doing.
Basic's been on TV before.
You know what I'm saying? We're gonna be out here. This gem's been packed up since the last studio.
Yeah, that's a
I love that. I'll tell you right now.
Yeah, hold the gem. There
Yeah,
you go.
Hold
I'll
the
tell
gem
you right now that
and then
I
drop
know
the gem as you
I'm
drop
gonna
the
be driving
gem.
to work, which I'm fucking late for right now, and I'm gonna be thinking to myself, there's one that I should have said and I missed it, but I'm gonna text you guys. I'm like, yo, I'll have to just send you a little video. But let's see. There's a few quotes that I just love, and they're usually always to me like the thing that I've learned with this, where you hit milestones and you see it's still not enough. It's still not enough. You're gonna have to be in this game for a long time. In anything you do, if you want to have an impact, if you want to do something long-standing, longevity, you're going to have to find a way to get past the burnout, past those moments of like nobody's fucking with you right now, and you still got to figure out how to get to tomorrow, how to re-inspire yourself and still see the concept with that vision that you have for it. So I would say, one of them is one by Terrence McKenna, and he says, you want to see magic? You hurl yourself into the abyss to find out that it's a featherbed. And sometimes you just got to take those steps. You got to take those steps. And this wedding is
That
a perfect
is fire,
I
bars.
appreciate
He was
that,
talking
bro.
about psychedelics probably, but it applies. It applies. It applies.
You know what
100%.
though? That does help.
Yeah,
Like that, absolutely.
for sure.
Like, and the examples that wedding game, there are so many reasons why it wouldn't work and how we can get the artist. And then like, will the song be good? Like, how will it, and then we have to get all the equipment. But it was just like, just run into that brick wall, believing that if you run full speed, it'll just melt away in the split second that you need it to.
Wow. That's a gem, bro. Go ahead. That's a
Appreciate
gem
you
right
guys.
there.
Welcome back to the gem. bro.
Appreciate
Thank
you guys.
very
And
much.
thank you guys so much
saying?
for having me. Like, honestly,
Absolutely.
it's a
Hey,
beautiful
man.
thing building with other creatives who are dope and doing dope shit. And, this is hopefully the beginning of a lot of cool stuff. And I'm honored that this is the first time that the three of you have sat here to do an interview. So appreciate you
Cheers
guys.
to that, man.
Day drinking, baby.
Hey, Hustle
Hustle
Podcast.
Podcast.
So, ladies and gentlemen, this episode of the Hustle Podcast was brought to you by Pink Bandit Vapes. Once again, 2 locations, one on the 207, one on the 138 in Ganawage for all of your vaping and alternative tobacco needs. Hustle Podcast. We out.